Up next, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk about the bigger picture. As I mentioned in the very beginning, we are joined by Chris Konya, who is the Co-Chief Strategy Officer at strategy and design consultancy SYLVAIN. Chris is an empathetic leader and an insightful strategist. She has over 20 years experience helping companies envision their future through innovation, through brand, and through consumer-led strategy. And she works across a variety of disciplines to galvanize organizations and provoke progress. Her recent work includes core product and brand strategies for the New York Times, for MoMA, for Amazon, for Chanel, Marriott, the list goes on. Please join me in welcoming Chris to the stage.
So I say all of these things today, and I'm speaking to you today really because language is powerful. Language is important. The words that we use are so powerful. Language helps us to form ideas. It helps us to think about how we adopt new ideas and how we can facilitate the adoption of new technologies as well. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. My name is Chris. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at SYLVAIN. We're a strategy and design consultancy. We work mostly in the worlds of brand and innovation, and you can check us out at sylvain.co. But really, today, what I want to talk to you about are words. So every word that you use, every word that we use, has a little narrative stuck behind it. That little narrative, we call them connotations often, but there's a little association with every word. There's a little idea behind it. And the association and the ideas that we have then kind of become a part of us and a part then of our belief system. And those beliefs then change what we do and how we act and the things, how we behave. So really, words have the power to change what we believe and what we do. Now, there's a hypothesis in the psychological world, the world of psychology, called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. And this hypothesis effectively is one that linguists across the globe believe in. So some believe in it in a more extreme manner and some in a little bit less extreme manner. But those who believe in the most extreme case of this, they believe that people, humans, cannot actually conceive of an idea. We cannot even believe in a concept unless we have a word to associate it with. If we don't have the language for an idea, then we cannot even have the idea in and of itself. And I think a nice example of this is our three words, mind, body, and spirit. Let's see if this works. There we go. So in the English language, mind, body, and spirit are three separate words. However, when you look at many other languages across the globe, including Japanese, they use one word, kokoro. So why are we talking about this? So the thing is, when you start to look at our healthcare system, you start to look at how you think about treating yourself and taking care of your mind versus your body versus your spiritual connectedness. We go to different institutions for these things. We care for them in different ways at different times. We think of them as entirely separate entities. The language that we're using to describe ourselves actually impacts the way that we are treating ourselves, our relationship to our own ness. Now, speaking of identities and of who we are, have you ever heard anyone say, people sometimes oh. Sorry, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Sometimes you hear someone who may be transgender, maybe someone who's neurodivergent. You might have heard people say in the past, I just didn't have the language to describe it. People come into themselves with the language that they use to describe themselves. And once you know and you have that language and you kind of understand what that feeling is, then you can share it with others. And then that's how we create societal acceptance for new ideas and new things. Post-pandemic, many of us had this feeling, and we were kind of stuck in this certain state. And I think in 2021, when the New York Times named it, and they surfaced the word languishing, it was almost like a therapy-esque moment for many people who just suddenly knew, oh, that's why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. Oh, that's what's going on with me. And not only did it help people to understand themselves, but it also helped them to understand that they were not alone, that there were many people, actually a whole society of people, who were also having that same feeling. Another word that has come into the popular lexicon recently is hygge. So hygge is a Danish term. It describes things that are kind of comforting and cozy. And hygge actually is a term that changes or is just maybe a part of the Danish lifestyle. And I think once it became a part of the American lexicon, it also changed many people's lifestyles. Now, technology also impacts language and the way that we think of words. So the word hallucinate has changed so much in recent time, right? So hallucinate once just meant things that you've seen, heard, or felt, but when somebody thinks that they see, heard, or felt something that didn't actually exist. However, now the term hallucinate actually means when AI shares information that is untrue, right? So the definition of that word is changing, and actually as we look at these words and the ways that these are working, we kind of start to wonder, if we don't have a word for it, does it even exist? Words validate our feelings, our identities, our experiences. If we don't have the words for an idea, how do you even express that idea or solidify it in your mind? There are many institutions that help us with our language, right? So the Institution of Media coins new terms for us on a regular basis. Recently, there was a whole slew of workplace language that came out, quiet quitting, quiet cutting, the Great Resignation, right? Another great institution, right? So popular culture is also always inundating us with new language, right? We were gifted Hot Girl Summer from Megan Thee Stallion. In addition, Cosmo, right, shared with us the new language of situationship, right? That idea is so clear in the language that she used. Beige flag, right? Beige flag became popular through TikTok. It's not a red flag, it's not a green flag, but it's a beige flag. Main character energy, when you are acting like the main character in your own story, also a term that we gained through TikTok. Everybody knows Karen, right? And Riz, short for charisma, right? This one came through Twitch and YouTube, but now has become, in 2023, I believe it was named the Word of the Year by the Oxford English Dictionary. Brands are another great institution that give us new language and new words. How many times have you called lip balm chapstick? Or called tissues Kleenex? Did you realize that super glue is a brand? So is popsicle, thermos, jacuzzi, rollerblades. Now, brand terms are even verbs, right? Let me Venmo you. I'm gonna Xerox it. I'll Google it. Let me Uber over there. And we all know this because we're at the Adobe conference. People right now are photoshopping, yeah? Yeah. Technology changes the way that we live, and it also changes the way that we speak. So over the last 20 years, if you look at the top rising Google search terms, you see that 22 of the 25 of them are technology brand terms. And actually, when you look at the top 10, the only one that is not a technology brand term was coronavirus. So when we look at the Gartner hype cycle, this is the cycle that all technologies go through. We see this kind of backlog of technology that is all hitting the peak. What this means is effectively, it means that we are hitting a peak in all of the technologies that are being released. That means that we are also hitting a peak in terms of all of the technology language that we are being inundated with every day. That's why I'm here today really, is to talk about the language that we use as we are sharing and disseminating these new ideas, these new technologies. What language will we use in order to make these technologies easier to access? How is this happening today? Well, today, ChatGPT is the most popular generative AI, and you might ask yourself, what does GPT mean? I asked myself the same question. GPT is engineering language. It means generative pre-trained transformer, which I still don't understand. And many people, when they see ChatGPT, see it, and because they don't understand it, think to themselves, you know what, this is not for me. Which is ironic, because actually OpenAI's whole mission is to benefit all of humanity with Gen AI. But the GPT name says otherwise, right? The GPT name actually says, this product is really for those in the know. It's for a specific subset of people. And that is gatekeeping. Whether it was on purpose or not, that is gatekeeping. When you say that a product, or when you say that a concept, an idea is only accessible to a certain group, right? We are closing off, and we are creating access for those who understand versus those who do not. We're saying that this technology is a part of a future, and you are not a part of that future. Now, when the brain hears things like this, when the brain starts to feel that something is gatekept or that it doesn't belong, so innate and so important is the need for belonging in the human spirit that it actually triggers our fight or flight reflexes. And within those fight or flight reflexes, it triggers our amygdalas. The amygdala is a center in the brain where you process fear, and also where you assess threats. So effectively, we're literally viewing technology as a threat. And this is not, anything new. Technophobia is widespread, right? 77% of people are concerned that AI will soon take their jobs. 76% of people believe that all AI will facilitate misinformation, and 61% of people are either concerned or unsure about the future of AI. The trough of disillusionment is coming for technology, and it is coming for AI. Crypto has already hit the trough. NFTs got stuck in the trough. When we gatekeep, we get stuck. Arguably, this is a make or break moment for AI. This is the moment now. So either our language will help propel AI forward, or it will slow progress. And as a creative community, we can make that happen. I see only one way forward as we think about the language that we use and how we propel AI. We must think about the purpose of our words. What is behind our words? What are the stories behind our words? What are we trying to really get across and connect with? When you think back through human history and in time, actually, words come fairly late, but stories came very early. You see them on cave walls. In ancient civilizations, you saw them everywhere, on pottery, on architecture, but very rarely in word. Griots in West Africa have been the oral history tellers of many countries and many cultures. They are singers, they are storytellers, they're poets. And today, we have many rituals around storytelling, right? We do storytelling around campfires, we have podcasts, even popular music is really storytelling, right? Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift she's not just a singer, she's not just a songwriter, right? She's not just a musician, she's a storyteller. She connects with millions of people through her stories. Story is so integral in our biology, it's so much a part of us as humans that at night when the body goes to sleep, the mind stays up all night telling itself stories. Stories are the missing link. They are the thing that helps us to envision a future that does not exist today. Every person in this room today is a storyteller. You are all business leaders. You tell stories all the time. You tell stories to your teams, you tell them to your leaders, you tell them to your customers. So, I ask you today, what words will you use in order to tell your stories? There are a few brands that I believe are doing a very good job of this, just to highlight a few. The North Face, they named their company after the side of a cliff that is thought of as the coldest, the iciest, the most formidable side, the hardest side to climb, right? Effectively, they are naming themselves a challenge, and that is the mentality of their consumer set. When you think about climbers, right? These are people who, they're up there. Their mindset is that I'm gonna go and do this. And so the North Face aligns with their customer set and thinks to themselves, this is a mindset of grit. And let me motivate that grit. Let me empower that grit. And the truth is that they're not just a niche brand for a small community. Everyone feels that they have grit. The North Face isn't just selling jackets, right? The North Face is selling empowerment. They are selling the idea that every human can mount and conquer their own Everests. Babbel. Babbel is another fantastic brand. So Babbel is a subscription-based language learning app. It was launched in Germany in 2008. It's about $270 million. It's the leader in its category at this point. Babbel, the name Babbel comes from the mythology of the Tower of Babel, where effectively all of humanity unites, and together they build a tower to reach the heavens. And of course, by divine intervention, the tower is knocked down and they are thwarted. And divinity breaks their language into a million different tongues so that they cannot speak to one another, they cannot work together, and therefore they cannot move forward together. But Babbel, as a name, I believe, is just fantastic, right? So this name is helping to say that we stand for a common understanding, that we actually bring people together where we have been thwarted. This is all about empowering users to overcome language barriers, and not just about overcoming language barriers, but about connection. So I think it's brilliant that Babbel has used this language, because it's not just about language for Babbel. Actually, it's about leaping divides. It's about culture and understanding, and creating bridges, which I think they do so well between, the Babbel magazine podcasts. They also have these culture bites that are really nice. I just like Babbel. But, I won't keep you from your drinks any longer. I guess I do wanted to say, as we end this day, I would love for us all to think to ourselves, how will we give power rather than take it away? How can we stop spinning words and instead create common understanding through the stories behind our language? Consumers need language that liberates. They need language that starts with a story, that liberates them, that does not gatekeep, but helps them to move forward, helps them to create understanding. And everyone here in this room has the power to create that liberation. Thank you. My name is Chris. Have a good one.